Hi everyone, welcome to Chapter 2 of EDUC 206. Today, we'll talk about globalization, cultural, and multicultural literacies. Dito natin malalaman kung paano naaapektuhan ng global connections, Philippine values, at respeto sa iba't ibang kultura ang paraan ng pagtuturo at pagkatuto sa classroom. Class, for this activity, you may recall the positive and negative effects of globalization, cultural literacy, and multicultural literacy, both to you as an individual and to society in general. You may write them down or share your answers for recitation. You will get 3 points for your recitation today. For the learning objectives, upon completion of this chapter, you will be able to share your insights on the three core literacies, distinguish the effects and implications of globalization to social, cultural, and political contexts. You may expound the issues in teaching and learning multicultural literacy in the Philippines, show self-reliance while working independently to complete this chapter. You may conduct a survey in relation to multicultural literacy and prepare a case study. This is the outline of the discussion. Number one, or letter A, globalization. Globalization means we are connected or we are now connected more than ever. For example, a student in the Philippines can easily watch a lecture from Harvard University online or collaborate with classmates from other countries through social media. Ibig sabihin, hindi na limitado sa loob ng classroom ang pagkatuto. Global na ang access sa informasyon. Letter B, which is the cultural literacy, on the other hand, means understanding and appreciating the culture you belong to. For instance, knowing our Filipino values like bayanihan and pakikipagkapwa helps us connect meaningfully with our community. Meanwhile, multicultural literacy is about respecting and learning from other cultures. In our classrooms, we are in a Kanlahi community where Kapampangan, Tagalog, and Ilocano students come together. This diversity is enriching, but it is also brings challenges. Among the issues, which is the letter D, among the issues in teaching and learning multicultural literacy in the Philippines are language barriers, cultural stereotypes, unequal representation of local cultures and learning materials, and sometimes even discrimination. These issues remind us that as teachers, we must create inclusive classrooms where every learner feels respected and values. Dito pumapasok ang kahalagahan ng respeto at pagiging bukas sa iba't ibang pananaw at tradisyon. Let us now proceed with globalization. Let's dig deeper the definition of globalization. So it is the process where people, businesses, governments, and cultures from different nations interact and integrate. It is driven by international trade, investments, and supported by information technology. Dito natin nakikita kung paano nagiging konektado ang buong mundo. For example, Filipinos can order products from Shopee or Amazon that come from China or the United States, watch K-drama and listen to K-pop from Korea, or even study online courses from universities abroad. On the other hand, our local products like dried mangoes, bananas, and BPO services are being exported and used by other countries. Ibig sabihin, ang globalization ay nagdadala ng palitan ng produkto, kaalaman at kultura sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo. To better illustrate this, consider two people from different countries. For example, the Philippines and South Korea. Let us say they meet in college and become good friends, so that the Korean comes to be treated like a member of the Filipinos family. After some time, the Korean returns to her own country, but something has changed. She noticed an aspect of her culture that she finds herself wishing to be more Filipino. She knows very well that she cannot change Korean culture as a whole, so she decides to just change herself. She does not change everything, of course, just a little thing here and there. She's still obviously Korean, but she just does a few things differently from those who have never been to the Philippines. These examples shows how globalization and multicultural literacy influence individuals by allowing them to adopt and adapt practices from other culture without losing their own identity. The Korean student, after experiencing Filipino culture through friendship, carries home small changes in values or habits. Ibig sabihin, nagiging bukas siya sa ibang pananaw at tradisyon, showing that cultural exchange enriches people personally and socially while highlighting the importance of respect and openness in a diverse world. Now, suppose a little more time passes and the Korean is very happy with the changes she has made to her life that makes it just a little more Filipino. Let us say some of her colleagues notice how she does some things differently and they become curious. So she tells them about her experience in the Philippines and how that in some ways she wishes to do things the way the Filipinos do. Her colleagues decide to give it a try and they find that they like this different way of doing things too. This situation shows how culture can spread from one person to others. The Korean was happy with the small Filipino changes in her life, so she shared her story with her colleagues. While they saw how she did things differently, they became curious and tried it too. They also like it, which means that one person's experience can inspire others, and little by little, Philippine culture becomes part of their way of life as well. Now, let us say that when we look at the person from the Philippines, something similar has taken place. The Filipino, while still being Filipino through and through, has made a few changes in her life as a result of her experience of Korean culture through her friend during their years in college. Some of her friends have also noticed it and have made similar little changes in their own lives. Ipinapakita ng sitwasyong ito na ang pagkakaibigan ay nagdudulot ng cultural exchange, kung saan parehong natututo at naiimpluwensyahan ang Pilipino at Koreano. Maliit man ang pagbabago, nagiging inspirasyon ito sa iba at dahan-dahang lumalawak ang pagyakap sa ibang kultura. Because our exposure to the concept of globalization has largely been through an economic lens, it is tempting to limit globalization as something that concerns economists and businessmen. But globalization and its effect go beyond import or export and foreign direct investment or the FDI. Notice that in our illustration, the friend of the two people in question were affected by their interaction, even if they themselves had never been to Korea or had not met a Filipino. Now scale this up to the point where it is not just two people from two different countries, where we are no longer integrating just language or mannerism, education, technology, manufacturing, ways of doing business ideas, and whole world views. This is globalization as we know it today. Globalization as a phenomenon in no new nation and culture have been interacting and integrating with one another to millennia. Consider how ancient Greek culture was so widespread across the Mediterranean that even Egyptians could speak their language, and how Rome was so much of the Chinese, Arab, and Indian culture have become part of our own. This interaction and subsequent integrations did not happen recently, but even during countries before there was an even a political entity known as the Philippines. This shows that globalization is not just something new, it has been happening for a very long time. Even before modern technology, nations and cultures were already sharing languages, ideas, and traditions, just like how Greek culture spread across the Mediterranean or how Roman, Chinese, Arab, and Indian influences reach far places cultures have always been connected. Ibig sabihin, ang globalization ay bahagi na ng kasaysayan ng tao. At ang nakikita natin ngayon ay pagpapatuloy lamang ng matagal ng palitan at pagsama-sama ng iba't ibang kultura. What is different now, however, is the speed at which globalization is happening, its overall scope, and its effects in the lives of ordinary people. Now, not only are we interacting with, learning from, and integrating knowledge and glean from other cultures and nations at an unprecedented rate, there is now also a sense that no matter where one lives or how limited is one's face-to-face interaction with members of another nation or culture and how limited one's time is spent online, globalization and its effect are inescapable. Even remote villages will be exposed to the latest K-pop hit if they have access to a radio. If they produce rice, they will also feel the effects of more affordable rice imports from Thailand and Vietnam. If they have access to a kerosene stove, they will feel the effects of the fluctuations in oil prices originating from Arab nations. All these things take place without having to know anyone from or anything about Korea, Thailand, Vietnam of the Middle East. Let us now proceed with the effects of globalization. The effects of globalizations are multidimensional. As shown earlier, they range from economic to cultural on both national and individual levels. According to Mayer 2000, summarizes the effect of globalization as follows. Let's discuss them individually. Number one, economic, political, and military dependence and interdependence between nations. Let me tell you our story. Imagine this. In the Philippines today, we clearly see the effects of globalization. Isang taxi driver na na-stuck sa traffic, may hawak na dalawang smartphone at nagbabrowse ng social media. Those gadgets come from Korea or China, while the heavy traffic is partly because more Filipinos can now afford cars. This shows the positive side of globalization. Foreign investments bring new technology, more vehicles and jobs. Look at our BPO or call center industry. Millions of young Filipinos now have stable work, nakakapagpaaral ng kapatid at nakakapundar ng bahay. Pero may negative side din. Many of these jobs are low-paying compared to the profits companies make. Malaking bahagi ng kinikita ng mga kumpanya ay ibinabalik sa kanilang sariling bansa. Kaya sabi nga, the rich become richer, the poor become poorer. Dahil mahaba ang sahod or mababa ang sahod, napipilitang tumulong pati mga bata sa hanap buhay. Kaya nga may kasabihang Pilipino, kapag maraming anak, maraming katulong sa bahay. But this mindset leads to overpopulation. Imagine a poor family with 8 children, hirap sa pagkain, edukasyon at trabaho, nakikipag-agawan pa sa resources ng iba. As inequality grows, frustration also rises. Nagkaroon ng political instability dahil sa pressure na na-redistribute ang kita pero natakot naman ang investors. Resulta, bumabagal ang economic growth. So globalization is like a double-edged sword. On one side, it gives jobs, technology, and opportunities. On the other side, it creates inequality, poverty, and social challenges. Ang mahalaga ay matuunan nating balansehin ang mga benepisyo at negatibong epekto nito para sa mas makatarungan at maunlad na lipunan. Let us now move to political and military dependence/interdependence. A survey in 2018 showed that 3 out of 5 Filipinos believed that United States would come to help the Philippines if ever there was war. This shows how much we depend on the United States, not only in economics but also in politics and defense. Ibig sabihin, nakikita pa rin ng maraming Pilipino ang Amerika bilang kaalyado na kayang magprotekta sa atin para mapanatili ang ating soberanya. But this is not unique to us. In, Uni- in Southeast Asian In Southeast Asia and around the world, other countries also depend on stronger nations for protection and support. For example, Russia supports some communist nations, while the United States has allies in Europe and Asia. The point is, wherever there is economic dependence, political and military dependence usually follows. Nations want to protect their trade, their investments, and their interests. Kaya nagkaroon ng alliances, military agreements, at political partnerships. Makikita natin na sa globalisasyon, hindi lang ekonomiya ang nagiging konektado, pati politika at seguridad ng mga bansa. Let's now talk about the flow of expressive and instrumental culture. Expressive culture is about how a society shows itself through language, arts, music, and lifestyle. Because of globalization, these are not just shared but also monetized. Nabebenta, nai-export at nai-import. Halimbawa, K-pop 10 years ago, kakaunti lang ang nakakaalam nito sa Pilipinas. Pero ngayon, halos lahat may alam o may paboritong K-pop group, bumibili ng albums, nanonood ng concerts, at pati pagkain at skincare ng Korea ay naging bahagi na ng ating daily life. This shows how globalization changes the way we consume and even adopt another culture. On the other hand, instrumental culture refers to models of social order, kung paano tayo nag-iisip at nag-oorganisa bilang isang bansa. A clear example is our education system. Malinaw na nakabase ang Philippine education sa American system, from curriculum design, classroom practices, hanggang teacher training. We often look to the US and even European countries as models. The challenge here is that even the problems they face actually reach US. Kung ano ang issue sa Amerika ngayon, usually mararamdaman din natin after 5 to 10 years. So in short, expressive culture influences our everyday habits like music and fashion, while instrumental culture shapes bigger systems like education and governance. Sa pamamagitan ng globalisasyon, pareho itong nagiging konektado at nagbabago kasabay ng mundo. Number 4, let's talk about expanded flow of people among societies. Globalization makes it normal for people to move from one country to another. Sa Pilipinas pa lang, may tinatayang 2.3 million OFWs noong 2017 ayon sa Philippine Statistics Authority. Sila ang dahilan kung bakit bilyon-bilyon ang pumapasok na remittances na nakakatulong sa ating ekonomiya at sa pamilya nila dito sa bansa. According to Mayor 2000, there are three main reasons why people move. Una, socio-economic migration. Pangalawa, political expulsion. And tourism. Una, socio-economic migration. Ito ang dahilan kung bakit maraming Pilipino ang nagtatrabaho abroad. Naghahanap sila ng mas magandang oportunidad kasi kulang dito sa ating bansa. Pangalawa, political expulsion. May mga tao na napipilitang umalis dahil sa gulo o hindi magandang political climate at naghahanap ng asylum sa mas ligtas na bansa. At pangatlo, tourism. Mas marami ng Pilipino ngayon ang kayang mag-travel abroad for leisure dahil curious sila, influenced by social media at syempre dahil din sa paglago ng ekonomiya. In short, globalization does not just move products or culture, it moves people. At sa bawat paggalaw ng tao, may kasamang kwento ng sakripisyo, pag-asa o minsan ay simpleng pag-explore ng mundo. For your reflection, this is 10 points. 5 points for number 1 and 5 points for number 2. Number 1 question, what are the personal effects of globalization to you? Number two, give at least 10 specific examples. Comment them in the chat box. Let's now proceed in letter B, cultural literacy. According to Hirsch 1983, cultural literacy describes as the ability to understand the signs and symbols of a culture, its language, traditions, and customs, and not just to observe from the outside. Ibig sabihin, hindi lang tayo nanonood ng kultura, kundi nakikibahagi tayo dito. For example, when a Filipino joins a fiesta, he doesn't just watch the parade. Nakikisalo rin siya sa pagkain, sayawan, at mga tradisyon. In the same way, when someone learns another country's culture, like speaking their language or following their customs, they become part of it, not just visitors. So basically, cultural literacy is more than knowledge. Ito ay pakikilahok, pag-unawa, at pakikipamuhay sa kultura ng iba. It is learning through experience, not just from books. To illustrate cultural literacy, isipin natin itong example. The classroom was in absolute bedlam. Kung wala kang background, mahirap hulaan kung anong ibig sabihin ng bedlam. Maybe you think it just means noisy or messy, pero sa totoo, bedlam means a scene of uproar, confusion, and chaos. Now, here's the interesting part. The word comes from British history. Back in the 14th century, may hospital sa London na tinatawag na St. Mary Bethlehem. This psychiatric hospital became infamous for its poor treatment of patients, hanggang sa ang pangalan nitong Bethlehem ay nagbago at naging Bedlam, symbolizing chaos and disorder. So yes, pwede mong malaman na Bedlam chaos, pero iba pa rin kapag alam mo yung cultural origin niya. Dahil kapag may nabanggit ng Bedlam, hindi ka lang basta-basta nakakaintindi ng salita, nakaka-relate ka rin sa historical and cultural weight behind it. This is exactly what Hirsch 1983 means by cultural literacy. It is not just about memorizing words or customs, ito ay mas malalim na pangunawa sa pinagmulan ng mga simbolo at tradisyon para mas makisali at makisabay tayo sa conversations at activities ng isang kultura. By its very definition, cultural literacy is always culture specific. Ibig sabihin, iba-iba siya depende kung nasan ka. Hindi lang ito tungkol sa national cultures, contrary to what many assume. Halimbawa, the culture in one workplace can be very different from another. Para sa isang kumpanya, relax ang environment, pero sa kabila, sobrang formal at strict. The same goes with schools. Minsan kahit magkatabi lang sa schools, magkaiba ang culture. Kaya nga, wala talagang taong pwedeng maging literate sa lahat ng kultura. There are just too many. Pero dahil sa globalization at dahil mas marami ng Pinoy ang nagta-travel both domestically and abroad, whether for work or leisure, kailangan talaga nating mag-develop ng new cultural literacies. Para saan? Para mas madali tayong makibagay, makaintindi at makisalamuha sa iba't ibang tao at sitwasyon. The National Commission for Culture and the Arts, NCCA, is the government body na in charge sa pagpoprotekta, pag-preserve at pag-promote ng Philippine culture both here and abroad. Parang sila yung tagabantay at tagahubog ng ating kultura. Isa sa mga paraan nila ay yung Philippine Cultural Education Program or the PCEP. Ang vision nito ayon sa NCCA 2015 ay magkaroon ng isang bansa na culturally literate at empowered ang mga Pilipino. Ibig sabihin, hindi lang natin alam ang kultura natin, kundi kaya rin natin itong paliwanag, ipasa at ipagmalaki, whether sa simpleng daily life or even sa international stage. Cultural education at cultural literacy sa Pilipinas ay isang malaking hamon. Bakit? Kasi ang Philippine culture ay hindi lang iisa, halo-halo ng maraming indigenous traditions at mga colonial influences. Spanish, American, Japanese at marami pang iba. Kaya nga iba-iba rin ang kultura depende sa rehiyon. Ang kultura ng mga taga Ilocos ay iba sa kultura ng mga Mindanao at iba rin sa kultura ng mga taga Visayas. Dahil dito, madalas ang karaniwang Pilipino ay halos kasing ignorante rin sa ibang kultura ng kapwa Pilipino tulad ng isang dayuhan. Halimbawa, ang isang Batanggenyo, minsan hindi kabisado ang tradisyon ng taga-Cordillera at ang taga-Maynila baka hindi alam ang mga sayaw at awit ng mga tausug. Kaya napapaisip tayo, ano ba talaga ang naging basihan para masabing Pilipino ang isang tao o bagay? Is it the food we eat, the language we speak, the values we hold? Ito yung malaking tanong na kailangang sagutin sa usapin ng cultural literacy. Ayon kay De Leon 2011, may tendency daw ang mga Filipino na tingnan ang sarili nilang kultura gamit ang Western lens. Ang tawag dito ay Doña Victorina Syndrome. Kung familiar na kay Doña Victorina sa isang nobela, Dolly Metangere ni Rizal, siya yung babaeng pilit na nagpapakastila, ayaw kilalanin ang pagka-Pilipino niya at halos ikahiya ang sariling pinagmulan. Ganito rin daw ang ugali ng ilang Pilipino ngayon, yung tinatawag na inferiority complex. Iniisip nila na kapag Western mas maganda, mas moderno, mas class, pero kapag sariling atin tulad ng mga traditional na sayaw, kasuotan, o kahit produkto, madalas ituring na backward o walang halaga. So madaling salita, instead of being proud of our own, may mga pagkakataon na tayo pa mismo ang nahihiya sa pagka-Pilipino natin at ito ang nagiging hadlang sa tunay na cultural literacy at national identity. Sabi ni Appleby 1987, kapag pinag-uusapan natin ang cultural literacy, lumalabas ang mga mahirap na tanong lalo na sa isang bansang multicultural at multilingual tulad ng Pilipinas. Halimbawa, ano ba talagang bumubuo sa cultural literacy? Sapat na ba yung alam mo ang mga facts, names, or dates? O kailangan mo ring ma-experience tulad ng pang-alam sa isang kwento o kanta sa isang lugar? Kung ang kultura ay mas nahuhuli kaysa itinuturo, dapat ba itong maging isa sa mga layunin ng edukasyon? Kung oo, paano ito ituturo at kaninong kultura ang dapat pagtuunan ng pansin? Lahat ba o pipili lang ng ilan? Sino ang magpapasya kung aling kultura ang dapat isama at ano ang batayan? At sa huli, paano susukatin o iba-iba i-evaluate kung ang isang tao ay tunay na culturally literate? For the reflection, what does being culturally literate mean to you? That is 5 points. Why is it important to understand and respect other cultures? That is 5 points for a total of 10 points. Do not forget to comment them in the chat box. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to answer in the chat box. Goodbye.